All right, guys, day one, e-learning, surface area of prisms lesson. So your first lesson today. This first page, so if you've not downloaded, go hit pause, download this Notability. This first page shows you different types of nets that we could draw for rectangular prisms, but we are going to focus on ones like this. So we're going to just draw all of our nets the same. So we have 4 throughout the middle, and then 1 on the top, 1 on the bottom here. So it kind of looks like a T sideways. And then to label them, we're going to take whatever the biggest number is and go throughout the middle here, because these would all be the same length. And then the next biggest number, so in this case 3, is going to be all of these, because these would all be the same length. If I were to fold this up, this side and this side would end up coming together, so they'd have to be the same length. So then that leaves us kind of with like these corners, the L's, and we're going to take those and make those the smallest numbers. So in this case, 2. So these would be 2s as well, and then these. So then to find the surface area, we just find the area of each rectangle and add them all together. So go ahead and look at the next page. So first thing, it has us practice drawing these nets. So again, we're going with the 4 along the middle. Whatever the biggest number is, in this case we'll call it the length, but it doesn't matter if it's length, width, or height. Just go with the biggest number and put it there. So then the next biggest number, we'll say that's the height. Should be those 4 in the middle, and then these 2 on the end. And then that leaves the smallest number, usually the width, for these corners. And that's it. Look at activity 2. To find the surface area, again, we're just finding the area of every side. So surface area means that you find the area of each side and add them together. So for this one, it's a triangular prism, so it doesn't really have doubles. So for that box, 3 times 3, the area of that one would be 9. Keep in mind, these all the way along here are all 3. For this middle rectangle, that would be 3 by 5, so 3 times 5 gives us 15. And then for this last rectangle would be 4 by 3, so 4 times 3 gives us 12. So then for the 2 triangles, they're the same. So once we find the area of one, it's the area of the other one. So area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. So these ones aren't as easy as just multiplying the 2 sides. So 1/2, 3, and 4. So either do 3 times 4 is 12, half of that is 6. Or you could do half of 4 is 2, 2 times 3 is 6. Either way, we get the same answer. So then to find the total, add them all up. 6, 15, 12, 9, and 6. So we had 5 numbers that we were adding together. 6 and 6 gives me 12. 2 more, 14, 19, 28. So 48 total. The last thing I want you to look at is down here, which of the surfaces are bases? So in this case, it's the triangles. It ends up being kind of our top and the bottom of our net. So up here, these would be our bases. We're going to look mostly at just rectangular prisms. Go ahead and look at the next page. Here it shows you a picture. Again, these are our bases. They're all rectangles, so it ends up doesn't matter as much. So again, we're finding the area of all of them and adding. So that's what this says, 2 length times width, because we have 2 sides, that would be length times width. 2 that are length times height, and 2 that are width times height. This example walks you through how to solve one. We're just going to do these ones together. So again, we're finding the surface area by always drawing a net. So go ahead and practice. The nice part about Notability, it'll make a rectangle for you. And then I found it's easier to just draw another rectangle here and then kind of connect. It doesn't have to be perfect, so go ahead and take your time. If you need to pause to draw your net. And then choose a color. Our biggest number here was 4, so let's start with 4, and that's going to be all of these. So go ahead and label all of those 4. The next biggest number is 3. So that's going to be the up and down 3. And then these two out here, when we fold them up, would match. So those are also 3. So then the last side is 2. And that's where we put all these little corners. So now we should have all of the sides labeled. So now area, surface area of a rectangle is just length times width. So all we got to do is multiply the two sides. So let's start with this one here. 4 times 2 gives us 8. The nice part about a rectangular prism is this one that's 2 away from the one we just did is the same. So that's also 8. Let's go with this one up here next. 2 times 3, this one would be 6. And again, 1, 2 away is the exact same. So that one's also 6. Last one, we've got these two left. 4 times 3 gives us 12. So that one's also 12. So then last step, add them all up. Again, we're focusing on just prisms, so you should have 6 sides, and there should be 2 of each number. So 2 12s, 2 8s, and 2 6s. You can use a calculator for this if you want. I know 2 and 8 gives me 10, 20, plus 6 is 26, plus 6 is 32, and then 3, 4, 5, 52. Our label would be feet squared. It's still area, so it's still squared. All right, number 2. Same thing. Go ahead and take a second and draw your net. You can pause if you need to. This time we have 2 sides that are 8. I'm still going to take an 8 and put it down the middle here. So that's one of my 8s. So then our next biggest number is just also going to be 8. Remember, these two out to the sides would also be that same number. So then last is 5, and that should be these little corners. So everything should be labeled now. So I'm going to end up with more than just 2 of the same number because of those 8s. So let's go through. Area of a rectangle. So for this rectangle right here, 8 times 5 gives me 40. 2 above, this one up here would also be 40. So now if I look at this one over here, 8 times 5, that's also 40 because of those multiple 8s. So then last two, the ones in the middle, 8 times 8, 64. So last step, add them all together. I'm going to go ahead and open the calculator for this one. 40 plus 40 plus 40 plus 40, and then 2 64s. I should check, I should still have 6 numbers that I'm adding together. So the total for this one, 288, and it would be meters squared. All right, so the key idea, the surface area of any prism is the sum of the areas of the bases and the lateral faces. Lateral faces is just a fancy word for the sides. So if we look at this triangle one that's already been given, it's like the example we did earlier. So the sides, 3 times 6, this one was 18. 5 times 6 is 30, 24. And then they showed you right here, 1/2 the area of the base, 6 and 6. So then you add them all together. We're gonna skip these ones because we're gonna focus just on rectangular prisms. So all the ones you're doing today are just like these up here, rectangular prisms, where all 6 sides are rectangles.